What's good, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. In today's video, we got to talk about it. We have to talk about the Colorado versus TCU game. I got to give y'all my opinion. It's only right if we're going to follow that storyline that we start off with a great recap of the game. Let's get into it.
Triple B's! AB the Hero, back at it, baby.
Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you know what happened. Colorado Buffaloes took on the TCU Horned Frogs, a TCU team who played in the national championship game a year ago. They lost handily to Georgia, but nevertheless, they still played. They took on a Colorado Buffalo team who won one game last year and lost 11 of them. They had also played this TCU team last year and lost to them as well. I'll throw that in there. And so this was a bit of a game where two teams with polar opposites of success, right? A team who the worst you could have done is lose all your games, right? And they did that. They lost all of them but one, right? So not quite the worst, but damn near there. And then versus a team who the best thing you could have done is win the national championship, and they made it to the game but lost one game, okay? They played each other. Now, the storyline going into the game is Coach Prime, this Colorado team who is revamped. A damn near completely new roster. I think they had somewhere around 49 transfers on this squad, right? And that's 49 new players. There's like 90 something transfers when you take into account how many guys was on the team and left and how many guys they had to bring in to replace players, all right? So that in itself was some controversy because people believe that maybe that was not the way that college football should be played. I liken it a lot to trying to build a team through free agency, right? We see it a ton in NFL, NBA sports, where if you want to get good, right, you go ahead and you sign a LeBron, you bring in a Bosch, right? You sign you bring in Kevin Love and you bring in LeBron, and all of a sudden you go from the Cavs nobody want to watch to a championship contender like that. We see it all the time. It had never really been done like that in college sports because typically you're trying to bring in a recruit who might have might be able to change the trajectory of your program, a la a Cam Newton who came into an Auburn team and took them to the national championship. You'd get a recruit like Carmelo Anthony who goes to Syracuse and then takes them to a national championship. Or you get somebody like a Tim Tebow who then, you have your best time ever in the school history while he's on campus. We see those things happen, but we don't see this overhaul of a roster through what I'm calling the college football's equivalent to free agency, the transfer portal. All right, so that was the things that set the stage for this past weekend, and I tell you this, Colorado dominated. Now, if you look here at the score, you see it's 45-42, and you might say to yourself, how is that dominating? That's a pretty close game. But when you really watch that game and you begin to look at the offensive play from this Colorado team, you begin to see that they were on another level. You got Coach Prime and them boys there. Shout out to Well Off Media. This angle and the way that they put this together is really nice. But you just begin to see that it felt too easy. There was a point in the game where it just seemed like there was nothing that TCU could do to stop this Colorado team on the offensive end. Now, if we go back here and we begin to look at the box score, because we got to dissect that a bit here for you, what you'll see is your main man Shedeur Sanders here. 510 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's domination, folks. That is domination. You go down here on the offensive end and you have 4 wide receivers with over 100+ yards. And then you've got a couple more with a few catches for themselves. That's domination, folks. You look at on the defensive end, you had Travis Hunter who showed up, got himself an interception. You have Shiloh with 10 total tackles. Marvin Ham, the second, 10 total tackles. Trevor Wood with 9 tackles and a interception himself. Now, I will say this, and I'm watching the game. I'm checking your boy Trevor Wood out, and one of the things that was throwing me off is, bro, you gotta run the alleys. You gotta come downhill. You waiting. You are, if you don't fix this key critical component to being a safety, running the alleys, taking the air out of the ball when it comes to being involved in run support, you're going to cost something down the line. Super good game, but that's one of the things that I noticed, right? Sometimes everybody's going to miss a tackle at some point, but your position has to be proper in order to set up the way that the schematics of a defense is supposed to be set up. If you miss that tackle, you have to create space for somebody to be there. And so you have to be in the right spot at the right time in order for that to happen. So some of the big things that I wanted to see going into the game was I pretty much expected that TCU would have the edge when it came to special teams, right? Just because they are a team who played a decent amount last year, returning a lot of players, I would imagine, who played some of those special teams. They lost a ton of players, but you still have your same coach at special teams. You still have the same culture around that. There's a lot of less teaching that you have to do. So I expected them to have the edge there, and I believe that they did. A really great kick return pretty much late. The pressure that they were applying on that block kick was solid. And if you really look at it, you could even say that the timing on the kick from Colorado was a bit off, which allowed that kick to be blocked. But so the edge was there. What I wanted to see from Colorado was a couple things. Shedeur Sanders, right? Obviously, I thought that he was coming into this thing going to be in the Heisman conversation just from what he did at Jackson State, but also just from the lineage of in which he has grown and learned the quarterback position. The man's been working out with Tom Brady and a few other folks for years in preparation for this moment. And so I expected him to do well, all right? But what I wanted to see was a few different things. What does that accuracy look like on this level, right? Is there a difference? Are you putting the ball there? That pressure from these defensive linemen, your offensive linemen against them, they're maybe taller, maybe a bit bigger, maybe faster. Can you still stand in the pocket and deliver those throws? My man looked better yesterday than I had ever seen him look, right? Even at Jackson State. The way that he was precision and picking people apart, to me was crazy. The other thing that I wanted to see, and this is a big telltale for me when I'm looking at teams and I'm trying to decide, is this a good team because they're full of really good players, or is this a good team because they have great coaches and great players? Okay. And one of the telltale signs for this is when you're watching a team and they have a lot of plays that are that seem like every big play that they make seems like it's a great play. What do I mean by that, right? I think a couple early on in this game, you see them throwing that deep ball to Travis Hunter and him having to lay out and then go make these immaculate catches, right? You make that play, that's a great play, but that's only a play made because you're a great player, right? To me, sometimes you have teams who have guys on there who are just better than the other team. So you don't really have a good play called except for you just got to go beat them, right? And so on those teams, you see a lot of deep balls. You see a lot of screens. You see a lot of tunnel screens, halfback screens. With the idea being, I'm just gonna let my best player get the ball in his hands, and then hopefully he beats y'all and scores a touchdown. So I was watching for that. And I think you need some of that, right? You need to be able to throw that deep ball to Travis Hunter and have him go get it. You got to engage him in that way. But what I really loved from watching this team is what makes a great team for me is when you call plays and the play makes it easy, right? Where as a receiver, you running across the middle and all of a sudden you like, damn, I'm wide open. And all you got to do is catch it. That, to me, when you start to see that happen a decent amount, that's the mark of not only great players, but great coaches calling great plays to put great players in position, right? And so we got that a decent amount on Saturday, where you saw Shedeur Sanders be able to throw the ball with that precision to guys who just was running free. We look at this touchdown right here, and Dylan Edwards is damn near by himself. That's a mark of a good team, because you're looking at the play calling that's happening and you seeing like, okay, y'all on to something. Y'all been studying the tape. You done figure some things out. This is not just a lineup of, oh, we gonna throw it to Dylan Edwards and let him outrun everybody. But I will tell you this, by the way, that works too. We saw in this game where Dylan Edwards, who obviously his performance has been exalted, but it's so crazy when you have two guys on your team who have had such excellent performances that you could go for, I believe was 170 something plus all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns and not be looked at as like the story of the entire game as a freshman, right? You had Travis Hunter, who was doing it on both ends of the ball. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but I want to give some kudos and credence to the performance of Dylan Edwards, because he showed up in times in which you ran the screenplay to him and he just looked like the best player on the field at times. On the offensive end, the way he just maneuvered through this TCU squad and then got into the end zone. So shout out to him, right? You look at these moments in which Travis Hunter, they were shooting the deep ball to him, but there were times where he was running free. Jimmy Horn Jr. running free, just easy touchdowns. So that was amazing, right? One of the big things there's the interception from Woods, one of the players from last year, who turned up and did his thing. But one of the big storylines of this game, and this was the thing that I think I didn't expect to see or surprise me. I figured he would play both ways, but Travis Hunter's ability to play both ways to me was remarkable, right? Obviously, I know that he was a talented guy and has the skill set to play both ways, but what blew me away was his ability to be available for both ways, especially against this TCU team who was running some of the fastest hurry up offense that I had ever seen. And so I expected to see him a lot less once the game started, and I seen the pace that TCU was playing of him showing up on the offensive end, but he was out there. And there was a point in the game where I feel like you could see him catch a second wind, where, you know, at the beginning of the game when you play, oftentimes you get tired really quick, right? You go out there and you hype and energize and you moving around and you run a couple plays and you're like, gas, you're like, I don't know, I'm not gonna be able to make it. And then there's this point where the second wind kicks in, and all of a sudden you're not really that tired anymore, right? You can run and run and run, and those deep breaths that you were just taking are long gone. It's a distant memory. And so we saw that happen for him, right? And here's the I believe this is probably the block kick here, but you see the timing on it. Poof. The reason that play is supposed to be so fast, it should hit his hands, and then by the time he gets it on the ground, that ball is getting kicked out of there. A game of inches, a game of milliseconds, that's what football is, and TCU took advantage of it. But back to Travis Hunter. I was impressed by that. I was impressed by his ability to make plays on the offensive end, but then also, and this is what I was talking about earlier, when your man is making this tackle, you got to take the air out of that. If you saw this from another angle, what you begin to see is he's coming straight down that 20-yard line, and letting him meet him there. You got to go make that tackle, or else he gonna drag you and get another 5 yards. So there's that. One of the other big things that I was checking out for in this game was obviously big plays, obviously the resilience of those guys and Travis Hunter and them being able to stick in there and continue to go. But when you really look at it from a perspective of this stuff here, you begin to see the running game. I think that that's something that obviously really, really good teams have to develop over time. And this is a team who, had they ran the ball a bit more times, it looks like they will be decent, right? Dylan Edwards 6 for 4, average of 4 yards a carry. That's what you really want, because you think about it like this. You getting 4 yards a carry, we hand the ball to you 3 times, that's a first down, right? That's 12 yards, right? If you give in 3.5 yards a carry, we hand the ball to you 3.5 times, that's really close to a first down, even if we got to extend it to 4. So I think that will be something that I would love to see them develop. But I watching this game gave me a new faith in not only the players, because I already expected them to be really, really good, but also the coaching staff and the preparation and the play calling and a lot of those things. I don't think that there was a ton of just egregious mistakes on the offensive end when it comes to play calling, and that set them up to do really, really well. So with that, that's kind of my take on the game. I was really excited about this game. A very, very good game to watch, going down to basically the final minutes to decide a winner for this game. Obviously, Colorado's defense needs to step up. You don't want to be giving up 42 points week in and week out, you know what I mean, in those shootouts. But I do say, if it is a shootout game, I think that they have the advantage. I was on my man Flight Sports TV show, his live stream the night before the game, and that's what I said. If it comes to a shootout, I think that TCU has the advantage, just because I just believe in Shedeur Sanders and his composure. Now, after this game was over, I went through and listened to a few of these post-game press conferences. And as y'all know, I do a lot of this body language don't lie. And when I listened to some of these,
I got two.
I saw some things that was a bit concerning, right? And so I want to double back and follow up on this video, talking about some of the things outside of maybe the football and some of the greatness that we saw that are concerning to me, right? But before we got into some of the things that concern, I wanted to heap tons of praise on this organization and these folks, because they showed up and showed out. And like always, just how they did at Jackson State, if you really went through, you see that the coverage from social media and the different pieces of content created from the media group that follows the Prime family, but also from the University of Colorado, all epic, all amazing. You go and watch, Shedeur's got a video up, Travis Hunter's got a video up, all of these different players have videos up, and it's kind of it's a motion picture for sure, and it's something that is going to be easy to stay tuned and tapped in with. So stick with me if you want to hear my take on something that I'm a bit concerned when it comes to this program. You will see that it's definitely not the end all be all, but make sure you click that link. It's your main man, AB the Hero. We're getting up out of here. Peace.
Be the hero. No, not peace. +1, triple B's. We out.